All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to, I believe, Kate, this is either our fourth or fifth edition of the Rithmm Rundown. You and I were trying to figure out what number it is at this point, but you know what? Fourth, fifth doesn't matter. We're starting to get our routine down. You and I have really gotten to know each other quite a bit better as friends, as betting mentors and accomplices here. So it's been a great start to the season. And I just want to let everyone know with Rithmm that, again, we're going to do this every Thursday with the Rithmm Rundown. Our whole goal of this stream is help you guys make some money, have some wins, but really not just handout winners, really teach you guys. There's this old adage, do you want to, can I give you a salmon tonight, or can I teach you how to catch your own salmon, your own fish, and you can fish for yourself and make money and eat yourself. So the whole point of this live stream is to kind of walk through the way I approach Rithmm in the betting market, the way Cade looks at Rithmm in the betting market, and hopefully combine both of our betting styles, and you can kind of pick and choose which part some of my style, some of Cade's, mesh them together, hopefully get some winners here. So before we get into it, Cade, I know we got a lot to talk about. Going to recap last week. I'll give you guys the quick rundown here for tonight's show. Dolphins, Bills, obviously the Thursday night football game here for tonight. Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, Giants. These are the few games that I'd like to hit on. And then college football, Texas Tech, Utah, UNLV, Miami, Ohio, and kind of an off the beaten path one, but Southern Miss, La Tech, not your most heavily bet college game, but one that caught my eye. So, Cade, it's September 18th. It's our Rithmm Rundown. We're here. We're back at it. How you been doing? How are you? And are you excited for tonight's show?
Man, we're moving a little bit too fast for this football season. I would kind of like it to slow down just a tad. But, yeah, we're having a historic year in terms of, like, numbers-wise. Yeah, we've been on. So, very excited to see it keep going.
And by the way, when you're hot, Cade, is it like, hey, I know I'm going to have a bad stretch coming. That's just the way betting goes. Or is it, hey, I've really found an edge and I'm going to try to continue to stay hot?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the goal. But do you ever feel like when you're hot, you're like, man, at some point I'm going to hit I always feel that way. Like things are going too well. I'm going to go like 1-7 my next day plays. I know that's when you go 8-1, you're going to get a 1-8.
How it was, it's funny. That's how it was last week. I didn't want to like overload the book because like week 1, week 2, we had like over like 20 something, and I was like playing like at halves, and then we go insane, and then it's like, oh my god, like, and then week 3 comes around, do pretty much the same thing. And so yeah, this week it's more of so just anything that we can find edges on, anything that we're good in confidence rating on, and we'll leave it at that. Nothing, no forcing these next couple of weeks for sure.
Exactly. And again, that's one of the best things you can remember as a sports bettor. Don't bet too much, don't force it. I have something on this Thursday game tonight. I think you do too, Cade, but like if you don't have anything, don't play it.
Right.
Don't force a bet unless you feel like it's kind of checked off all the boxes you look for. So that's so important. But I want to hit on just a little bit from last week because, again, I think it's important to recap and kind of obviously not every outcome is going to be perfect for us, but I think some outcomes prove that the way we're looking at the models, the way we're combining the betting market with what Rithmm is recommending to us, it can really produce some good results. So just 3 games that I thought were epic last week that you and I hit on the pod. Number 1 was the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, that was just a perfect play that combined the betting market with what Rithmm was predicting. If you remember, the Eagles went into Kansas City. They opened as about a 1.5 point road dog. They flipped to about a 1.5 point favorite. Cade, you had me at dog to fave line move. Anytime I see a dog flip to a fave, I'm automatically in. But what really sold me with that game, I was a little nervous because at the time, the Eagles were getting around 65-70% of tickets. As a contrarian bettor, I do not like that. That is a red flag to me. But I went with the dog to fave move, and I was really, confident in that play because if you remember, when we were doing the stream last week, Rithmm had Eagles -3.
Yeah.
So the fact that Rithmm, and again, they won by 3. So not only is that the perfect outcome, not only did Rithmm absolutely nail that, but that's how you can use Rithmm to your advantage. On the one hand, if it's just a highly recommended play, green star, it's got a huge distance to market, you just play it. But sometimes there are games where you're like 50-50 or you're leaning, but you're not quite sold, and Rithmm can help you, push you over the fence. And really for me, that was that when I saw Rithmm was -3 with Eagles, that's what really kind of overtook that 70% tickets on the Eagles and made me really like that play. So that was one that was important to me, and we talked about on the pod. And then 2 college ones, Tennessee. Man, we weren't singing Rocky Top or what is it? Yeah, whatever. Or Morgan Wallen or anything, but they covered +3.5. Remember, they opened as high as +8 against Georgia, got all the way down to 3.5. Rithmm had about a 1.5 point game. They lose by 3. They probably should have won outright. That was an overtime game. Key number. So important getting the hook. And then another great one was Georgia Tech. Remember Georgia Tech against Clemson. Everyone was all over Clemson. Line kept falling to Georgia Tech +6 down to 3.5 or 3. Rithmm had a 1.7 game. Georgia Tech wins outright. So among those, Cade, anything jump out to you with Tennessee, Georgia Tech, Eagles, or anything else from I know you nailed, and don't bring this up, I have PTSD. The back door is wide open, but you nailed that Packers game. I was a little bit bitter with my my points there with Jaden Daniels.
It's kind of weird. It's like everything that the Rithmm model either had either was close or it was just on. Like I think the projections were pretty solid on point in terms of like projection spreads on that kind of thing. But yeah, everything that we needed to happen and that we wanted to happen pretty much on our sides, at least, they kind of fell right into place. So I was very happy with the way things turned out with Tech going outright. Tennessee would have loved that one if they hit that field goal, but I'll forgive the college kicker for that poor guy. But yeah.
Yeah, that poor kicker, man. It's like you're either a big man on campus or like, you're kicked out of your dorm. Yeah, either way. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But a couple of things before we get to obviously the games we want to talk about here for tonight. I'm going to share my screen because I wanted to highlight a couple of really cool things that are happening at Rithmm right now. And this is a shout out to our friend Megan, who does a great job of really just all the brains behind Rithmm, the CEO, the person who really makes all this happen, along with Brian, who's obviously one of the great data people there. But there are two new additions that I really want to highlight and let you guys know. Remember, you can get 25% off by using the promo code START25. But what I really want to mention is right here, the Rithmm leaderboard contest. Because if you look at this Rithmm leaderboard contest, you can actually win up to $1,000. And already Megan and Rithmm, they've been paying out people who have won so far. So we'd love for you guys. It costs nothing. As long as you're a Rithmm member, you can submit your models. And basically the highest performing model each week will get a payout. So you can click see details if you want to do the NFL one. You can get more information on how to play. Basically, as long as you create a model and you got to track it. Right. That's the important factor. But you can get obviously win some money here. And wouldn't that make your week 3 in the NFL or your week 4 in college so much better? So throw your hat in the ring. It's a really cool thing you can do. You can make some money, obviously. But it also encourages people to make their own models. When you and I talk about models, Cade, sometimes I'm just telling Rithmm to give me their best one. And there's other models that I create myself based on a handful of factors that are important to me. Maybe I'm looking at a team that's really good offensively and has a good kicker and pace of play, yada, yada, whatever the case may be. But you can see here, we already listing the best performing models. So these are real people who are Rithmm users who have created these models, and they're winning some money each week because their models are crushing it. So throw your hat in the ring. Hope you guys win. The other thing I just wanted to mention real quick is this is something that I'm really happy about. Refer a friend. Very simple, very easy. If you're watching this live stream, you're interested in Rithmm, you have an opportunity to, let's see here. You give your friends 50% off their first month, and you get 1 month for free when they subscribe. So if you have a friend who's interested in Rithmm or someone who might want to give it a shot, all you have to do is share your referral link or your QR code. They get right in. You get credited. They get 50% off. It's a win-win for everybody. So just know that right now we have the great leaderboard contest you got to join, and we have the refer a friend. So those are two new features that hopefully you guys will take advantage of. Now let's get to what we all want to talk about here, Cade. Thursday Night Football. I'll give you a quick story here. I woke up this morning and my Twitter blew up, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, again, sometimes it happens. It's always weird, Cade. Like you wake up and you have a million notifications. I woke up to like 240 notifications, and I'm like, ooh, one of two things happened. Either something really good happened where I'm getting a shout out for it, or the trolls are after me. People are crushing me. I lost a bet. I'm getting destroyed online. It's always one of two things. It's never something in the middle. Luckily, it was something pretty cool because I had a tweet about a system play for week 3 in the NFL. And it was a tweet basically saying when you're 0-2 and you're a dog in week 3, you've lost your first 2 games, you're getting points week 3. These teams have covered 69% of the time since 2017. And I had listed out all the 9 system matches for this week. One of them happens to be tonight with Miami. So Miami Bills, Miami would be an 0-2 team. That's a dog here tonight. I woke up. Twitter's blowing up. People are texting me like, what the heck's going on? Somehow Pat McAfee, the Pat McAfee show, landed on this tweet. They put it right up there to start the show. And at one point, I'm like, is this real life? Because I had McAfee and Adam Schefter in my tweet in the middle. And McAfee saying, Shefty, what do you think of this from this kid, this person, Josh Applebaum? Like, is he even real? And then Schefter's like, oh, no, he has his part. So anyway, that was my morning. It was a little bit crazy. So if we can just talk about this game in general, Cade, to me, the play is on Miami because not only do we have a 0-2 team desperate in this desperation spot, week 3, they're covering 69% of the time. But from a market perspective, what I get excited about is the fact that, number one, everybody's on Buffalo. If you look at the current splits right now, I think it's Buffalo getting around 76% of spread bets at DraftKings. So the public is all over the Bills. They're 2-0. They're flying high. Bills Mafia. They're on fire, breaking tables, covering numbers, coming back against the Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, blowing out the Jets, much to my chagrin. I like the Jets and the points there last week. But everyone's on the Buffalo bandwagon. And we have seen this line. I'm not going to say this has been a quote-unquote sharp play toward Miami. To me, it's a contrarian type of system match play. But we opened minus 10.5 Buffalo. Buffalo got all the way to minus 12.5. But once they got to 12.5, it didn't fly through 12.5, get up to 13, 14. There was a point of resistance. We saw this line come back down to 11.5. Told me that there was maybe some bites at the apple from wise guys with an inflated dog in that spot. And then you also look at, other than that system match I just mentioned, I always like primetime dogs. They're 5-2 against the spread so far this year. They're 53% ATS with a 2% ROI since 2020. They're a divisional dog as well. 54% ATS since 2020. Here's another one for you, Cade. Josh Allen, when he's favored by less than 10 points, he's covering 56% of the time. When he's favored by more than 10 points, he's only covering 47% of the time. So he typically wins this game. This is probably a huge survivor. I mean, in one of my survivor pools, I have Buffalo tonight, but I'm going to root for the Dolphins to keep this thing close. And another big point of kind of emphasis for me is that if we go to this game on Rithmm, I have 2 Rithmm models on Miami. So this reminds me a little bit about in terms of the Eagles, where like the betting market was kind of telling me to take Eagles, but then Rithmm was the cherry on top with recommended models. Let's just pop these open, Cade, and see what they say. Both Green Star recommended, both on Miami, no conflict on Buffalo. First one, Dolphins plus 6.8. You're getting 11.5, and actually you can shop around. I got plus 12.5 at DraftKings. I believe that's still available. Second model here, Dolphins 7.2. So Rithmm is basically saying, and this is not a, like a kind of scary model that's like not recommended Green Star. It's the caution flag. Maybe it's around like 10.5, and you're not like a huge discrepancy edge over the market. This is pretty substantial to me. The fact that Rhythm's got about a 7-point game, Green Star recommended plays. I can be against the public. The line's coming back a little bit toward Miami. No Ed Oliver or Milano here tonight. Cade, I'm holding my nose, and it's a disgusting one. And I'm sure it'll be 21-0 after the first quarter, Buffalo, but I got to stick with this. I got to play it. I'm going Dolphins. Again, you can find 12.5. That's my play, but give me your take on this one. What you're thinking for Thursday Night Football.
I love the angle. I project just around the same. I have 6.8 on mine. I have though 5 systems on this game alone that's trending towards buying low on a bad against the spread team, being Miami, and then the under, because I do think this total is quite inflated. One of the trends that I do have, which is the buying low on a bad ATS team, is hitting at a 65% clip right now. It's at 27% ROI with a decent sample size. It's over 100. It's at 111 to 58. So I like that chance from the very start. And then if you have an 0-2 team off of a bad against the spread loss, which is bad spread loss, it's kind of like, in my opinion, that's more of like a possession or more. So like 7 or more, 5 or more, something like that. This is hitting at a 64% clip. Double-digit prime dogs, 66% clip. Outdoor divisional unders at a general whole, 61%. Outdoor divisional unders with humidity, that's above 75%. It's hitting at a 60% clip. There's so many systems in this game that I absolutely love. And normally I don't bet just based off of trends, but if there's a market influence, if there's a data influence, and it's just like a pure primetime dog spot, such as this. We see these early in the year all the time. Same thing happened last year, pretty much. I mean, I think the Bills did cover this line last year, but I like my chances with the Dolphins keeping this one close, most definitely. And then I also have a couple of other angles as well. But yeah, give me the Dolphins.
Yeah, I want to hear your other angles for this one too, because I think there is an opportunity to maybe look at some prop bets.
Absolutely.
You could look at, offensively with Miami. The other thing you mentioned, like, typically when Miami's got to go to Buffalo, so a lot of times it's late in the year. They're a warm weather, South Beach team, and there's a betting stat out there too. I think when it's like less than 40 degrees, I'm making this up, but it's something like he only wins like 20% of the time, or like he's really bad when it's cold. Obviously, guys from Hawaii plays in Miami, but you don't have that issue. This isn't Miami going to Buffalo in December with 10 degrees, 30-mile-per-hour winds, and a foot of snow or 10 feet of snow, whatever the case may be. This is a pretty nice summer night in Buffalo, so I think that kind of home field advantage. Obviously, they're crazy, and Bills Mafia is one of the best fan bases. They're going to be loud. Obviously, you're going to have that, but you don't have the weather element that typically Miami has to go up against when they go up to the Northeast. So that is another factor here. The other angle here is, it's kind of funny. Like I'm sure, Cade, like you have a lot of friends who are wise guys like you and know betting and are sharp, but I'm pretty sure you probably have friends or colleagues or someone or family members who don't really know betting at all. And they're just kind of what I quote unquote, we call the public, because I have a group chat and one of my friends, he bets with us and he knows that he thinks that I just always take the disgusting side, which typically is kind of right. But he's like, who do you got tonight? I'm like, oh, Dolphins 12.5. He's like, dude, really? They're going to get blown out. And I'm like, okay, dude, do you not understand that? Like, I am making bets not based on recency bias and what the media is telling me. There's a model here. There's a method to the madness, and we've been doing this for years. Still, he doesn't really get that. It is what it is. But when you have a quote unquote public or square betting friend who, when you throw a play out to them and they are just shocked and disgusted that you're making that play, I'm weird. That gets me more excited. Like if my square betting friend likes the play that I'm suggesting, that kind of gets me worried, because then it's like, oh, the public kind of, I'm with the public, which I don't typically want to be. So I don't know if you have friends like that or people you bounce ideas off of, but that's just something that I noticed. Like, sometimes your friends will just crush you, and then sometimes you'll win and they'll be like, how the hell did you take that play? So, it kind of goes both ways. But tell me about your total though, because I think you were talking about the total. This one's interesting to me because it's pretty clear this line went up. I think it opened around 48.5. At one point we were sitting around 50.5. If you look at the market right now, it's pretty much flat 50.5 across the board. It's always interesting to me, like the last hour or so, last half hour, 20 minutes, do we start to see this thing get back down to 50, 49.5? But I'm kind of with you with the total, because I have to respect that this line went up. But if you kind of look at this spot situationally, you mentioned a lot of things that jumped out to me. One, outdoor divisional under. It's not typically it's not windy tonight per se, but there is a stat where if you are a primetime game, primetime unders have been pretty good historically, but if you're a primetime under when the total is, I believe, 47.5 or more, it's covering nearly like 63% of the time. So anytime you see it go way up, you always say to yourself, what's the high water mark and when do we see it come back down? And this isn't a perfect play because these are caution flags from Rithmm. So always remember, you're going to get your recommended green stars that Rithmm says, hey, we put it through all our info. We're confident in this play. Use caution here. This is telling you that it's really not perfect, but it's kind of a lean. But you're looking at, 47.8 points, 40, same sort of thing, 47, 48. Remind me again your thought process on the under. And I believe, didn't the same thing happen last week, Cade, where that Commanders Packers line went way up and ended up hitting the under, if I remember correctly?
I believe so. Was the final score there was 27-18. I forget what the total was. Yes, it was under, because that was like a 48-47 or something like that. I believe so. But yeah, literally the same situation. And again, primetime game, same thing. Just obviously a much shorter line, but Yeah. I mean, one of the systems that, like, going back to the system thing, I know it's kind of might drive some of you guys nuts, but I mean, outdoor divisional under on prime time, high total. You said it, 47 or higher. It's actually 76% clip. It's 29-9, and that's 48% ROI. That's hard to fade, especially as inflated that this has gotten. I can't put my trust in both of these teams, much less Buffalo alone, to put up 30 on a short week like this. I just can't. I don't have it, but if you're kind of too scared to take the full game, I do like the Buffalo team total under, because I know that's in the 30s. Would not be opposed to taking an under there, because both my models project them to be around 27.
Great point. Again, you have the full game, first half, quarter, team total. You have all these different options here. Also tell you, Kate, I don't have a number for you, but I feel like, well, I guess I have a couple numbers for you. So overall on the year, we have unders 18 and 14. That's 56%. That's an 8% ROI. If you had put $100 on every under, I'm not saying you should do that, but because it's a lot of games, but you'd be up $250. So it's been profitable just in general to take these unders. But I don't know if you've noticed this too, Cade. There are certain games where, like, there's a ton of scoring early, and then it really tapers off. In second half, you get a much less scoring overall in general. So let's say Buffalo is up 14-10 after the first quarter. The live total is, I don't know, close to 60, and you can buy low and take that under. Something like that is definitely available to you too. So just keep in mind, like, whether you're pre-flop playing the under now. And I would also think, hey, you're trying to get the best of the number. If you're playing the over now, over 50.5, yes, you're with the line move that brought it up, but you're also getting the worst of it. So let's say this thing lands 49, 50 even. You got the over 50.5, you're going to lose that. The early wise guys who put the over 48.5 in, they're going to cash. So always have in the back of your head, you're making a case for your play, but then say, what number am I getting? Like, for example, Miami, we're pretty much getting the best of it. If you can get a 12.5, I never saw it get to 13K. At least we're getting the best of that price. And if you practice that, getting the best of the price, consistently, I think it's going to benefit you a lot more than it's going to be a detriment. So I'm rocking the fins here, 12.5. Let me ask you about any props tonight, Cade. Again, I always go immediately to the smart signals because Rithmm just, again, this was something that I think a lot of members wanted. They're like, hey, I may not have time to go through every game. Just boom, hit me with your best stuff. So you can see the smart signals all listed here. These are for some games coming up on Sunday. Adam Thielen over 2.5 catches. Jonnu Smith over 3.5. You can run through these yourself. But what I like to do is just go to all the games or all props, and then we can pick out this game individually and just kind of run through anything that jumps out to us. So what I like to do is, it doesn't take too long. Nothing in green, move on. Completions, nothing really there jumping out. Attempts, not much there. Typically what you're going to get, though, rushing yards, usually you find someone. So these two jumped out to me, and I actually saw this earlier as a tweet from Rithmm. Make sure you follow at Rithmm_AI on Twitter, because they put out a lot of great stuff. But Ray Davis, under 26.5. What is it? Rushing yards. He's the backup, obviously, to Cook. He's projected for 13.4 from Rithmm. I know it's not fun to play an under. You want to root for, yards, and it's more quote unquote fun to root for points, but that is a really good discrepancy. So Ray Davis could be on your radar. Achane under 52.5. He's predicted 31.6. He's a big player. No one can pronounce his name correctly, Cade, but they all want to play his overs. So obviously this is a really good contrarian play going toward his under. Any of these jump out to you? Rushing props, passing props. Do you have any props for
this is
game?
bad because
you got a lot of them?
I don't have a lot, but I'm actually just, it seems like I'm just fading from Rithmm here in a way. I do have Ray Davis, but I have him at a good number. I have it at 21.5. I believe that was one. I think that was the opener just shortly after. To me, anything can happen in this league. Everybody knows that, obviously. But given Miami's struggles on and off the field, given like injury, depth, whatever you want to call it, obviously, plus the challenge of a short week, and they're on the road, the spread feels right to take a backup kind of player where Buffalo, I don't think, wants to go all out, or they don't want to run this kind of game up. I project to spend a decent chunk of this game on the ground, playing with a lead about a possession or more. That's what I'm at least going for. The game script is perfect for Ray Davis, in my opinion, though, because last week, Cook, Davis, Johnson, all those guys were healthy, and Davis had 28% of the carries in one-score games and 17% when they were trailing at all, period. But then all of a sudden, snap share spikes up to 38% when they lead by more than a possession. That's 38% higher than normal. With Buffalo being favored to obviously control this game, I like the angle. I project them to get a little bit more rush attempts, but I've found the value more in his yards play. The only bad part is I have a ladder with Ray Davis now, only because it's like the prices on it were just too good not to take at this point. That's what these Thursday night games are for. If there's like a crazy high spread and you don't want to play a side, there's always fun in props, because why not? Similar situation happened last year, though. So I'm going back to week 2 of 2024. They played the Dolphins on a short week, obviously resulted in a blowout. He had 9 carries, and all of a sudden James Cook had 21 carries, I think, or something like that. Obviously projected a ton of workload. But everybody's healthy in this case now. Ray had 24 carries against the Jets in that game that I'm referring to. So, and obviously I think this is a much better matchup. I like him up to at least 50, and I got 50 at plus 750 on FanDuel. Like I said, it's hard taking it when you're looking right at this model right here, and it sounds terrible that I'm saying it, honestly. I just like the spot for him, and I think that they get up to so big that they kind of begin to work in these shorter guys. And even Ty Johnson, I mean, I see that they have his over by a little bit, and all that's a caution flag, but I mean, still, I kind of like both of those guys, even if you can get a good number for them. But that's my favorite prop of the night. Yeah.
Yeah, no, great point. I think you laid it out perfectly, because, you know, when we're looking at a spread, a total play, a player prop, obviously our number one goal is all the research that I do as a bettor prior to making my decision. You know, Rithmm validates for me. So if I'm doing all this information, legwork, I've decided, hey, I'm going to play this player to go over, and then Rithmm also agrees with me, that's great. But there are going to be a lot of situations here where you do your research as a bettor, you come up with a conclusion, Rithmm actually is completely against you. So I just think it's important. I'm not saying like don't ever do it or look to do it. Like, you as a bettor have to decide, when do I want to go up against what Rithmm is predicting. Now, Rithmm isn't going to get everyone right, but their model is going to predict majority of the time a lot of these winners. So you have to be comfortable with the fact that, hey, I feel like, you know, I'm going to take, like, I guess what I'm saying is do it sparingly and pick and choose when you feel like you have an edge. So yeah. Not like, don't be consistently disagreeing, but if you, just as you just mentioned, made a great case where, you know, number one, what if Cook gets hurt and Ray Davis becomes the feature back tonight? Number two, I don't want this, but if they're up big, you know, they're going to take your foot off the gas. Don't get Cook hurt. You're going to run Ray Davis a lot. So you have to know going into it, I'm making this play at least with the knowledge that Rithmm is disagreeing with me. And if you're okay with that, fire away. I think that's just important to kind of mention. And I'm looking at Josh Allen too, like over 28.5 rushing yards. He's predicted 37. Again, it is a red flag. But he's had 30 against Baltimore. He was big against the Jets with 59. I haven't looked up head-to-head against Miami last 2 years how he performed, but, you know, Josh Allen is great at scrambling. So maybe this is a play that isn't a recommended play, but also it's not saying Josh Allen's going to get, you know, 22 and you're playing over 28 when Rithmm is against you. So, again, betting is complex. It's hard. Nothing is perfectly lined up the way you want it to be. Except when it's Eagles -3 and it's Dr. Fave and they come through for you. So sometimes it does line up perfectly like that.
It's one of those. Yeah. So yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just like, if it hits, you know, it's just like genius guy, right? But if it doesn't, it's just like, who is this guy? Get it. So I don't know. I'll take my chances, but it was mainly just a snap share percentage. Absolute. Yeah. I just think it was cheap. So I thought I was finding a good value in it. But clearly, that's true.
And real quick, too, Cade, can you educate our audience ladder? That's a term you hear a lot. A lot of people throw it out there. Give me a really basic explanation of what a ladder is and how to approach it.
I don't do ladders often. I'll just put it that way. So it's not like saying that if you really like this guy, you need to ladder him. But basically laddering in a sense. The normal line, you look at 21.5. That's kind of a preference thing on how high you want to go, or I don't want to say a preference thing because really it's a matter of like projections of data or what you have in front of you, I guess. Like, I'm not going to bet this guy to get 70, like 50 yards over his line, right? You know what I mean? That's a little outrageous. 50, 40, much more attainable in this kind of case because that's like one breakout run away pretty much. So in terms of laddering, it's just taking a couple of steps higher than his original line, maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe 30 yards higher. To me, that would be the most attainable. If you're nuts, go shoot for that 12-1, go 12-1, 70 plus yards if you want. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's pretty much it.
No, and sometimes you'll see it too. Great explanation here because this is a term that kind of is relatively new, I would venture to say. But, like a guy's over-under, perfect example, like Derrick Henry. His over-under is 74.5 rushing yards. Some better takes the over 74.5. They find an alt line of over 84.5. They find another one of over 94.5, over 104. Like, you're laddering by adding up, obviously, a higher ladder for the player to exceed. They have to outperform and continue to get better and go over these numbers. But let's say Derrick Henry rushes for 200 yards. Instead of just cashing your over 74.5, you cashed like 10 bets by just laddering up and getting more. So it can be risky. It can be dangerous. Yeah. Obviously, it's risk reward. Like, what if you go ladder 5 times Derrick Henry up and he ends with 60 yards and you lose all 5 of them? So there obviously is risk, but if you can make a case and you cap it right, and obviously you get some luck and you can get some breaks, it is a way to make even more money than just an average bet. So good point by you bringing that up. Let's hit on some other NFL games. One that really jumped out to me that I want to get your take on was Broncos and Chargers. So this one is kind of notable to me because it doesn't match the 0-2 team as a dog. Broncos are 1-1. They lost at the buzzer. I'm kicking myself, Cade. I should have taken the Colts last week. They were like 2.5 down to 1.5. That was a blueprint play for me. I didn't play it. It's just annoying. But anyway, they're on the road at the Chargers. It's a short week for the Chargers because they played on Monday night. But we opened this game pretty much Chargers -2.5, -3. It's basically still 2.5 or 3, even though you're getting nearly 80% of bets on the Chargers. A lot of books are really not even at 3, or they're really juiced up toward the +3, -120 toward Denver. You would match a divisional dog. I have another system, short road dog 6 or less. They cover 55% of the time. Rest first tired. Denver played Sunday. Chargers played on Monday. This is a play where I'm looking to take the +3 with Denver. They're also in a pretty good spot if you wanted to tease them up 2.5 up to 8.5 and go through some key numbers. But if I can find this one here, Broncos. Now they're both caution flags, but my models here are Broncos +1.3 and Broncos +1.4. So this reminds me a little bit, kind of, I know they were like a home team, but like Georgia Tech, Tennessee, like those were games where they were super contrarian. The line was either staying the same or in those cases moving quite a bit in their favor. And Rithmm had like a 1-point game. Same sort of thing here. Public's all over Chargers. I also like the spot of Chargers off a win in which they covered versus a team that just is off a loss and did not cover. That's just your ultimate like buy low, sell high plus your rest advantage. So I did find a book at Broncos +3. I like this spot for Denver. You could tease them up if you want. Cade, any thoughts on Broncos in the points, or is it a buy low spot on the Chargers?
Yeah, I like this game a lot, only because we look at the Broncos defense, which is incredibly worrying me right now, as I must say. They kind of got torched by Daniel Jones last week. Granted, an extremely unlucky loss, I must say. I did have Colts, but I almost turned the game off until I kind of like heard flag. So that's kind of nuts. But the Colts averaged 5.2 yards per carry last week. It's not going to cut it against Chargers and the offense that they have with Amari and Hampton and a coach like Harbaugh, who just absolutely loves this old-fashioned ground and pound. But Chargers are perfect against the spread so far this year, and obviously they took advantage of Geno Smith, and that was pretty much his mistakes. The only thing there is I'm just not impressed by the teams that they've played. I mean, the Chiefs, we've already said that they kind of look sluggish and sleepy. The Raiders are the Raiders. I mean, I can't really say that the Broncos are having too much bad luck go against them. And yes, they've struggled previously as a road dog, but I like the angle of them kind of bouncing back in this kind of place and making the Chargers do from some regression. I would lean Denver with the points, but to say they win might be a little bit. I don't know, but I do like the +3. Maybe I'm praying, maybe you can get the hook, but yeah.
Yeah, and good point by you. Like, it's really funny when you're new to sports betting, you say Chargers all day. They're 2-0. They've made money.
Right.
They've covered. I want to fade the Broncos. They're 0-2. But once you start betting enough, you actually start to look at it completely opposite. Like when I see this right here, this gets me excited to play the Broncos because they haven't covered. Anyone who's bet them has been pissed off because they cost them money and let them down. Anyone who's played the Chargers automatically going to continue to play them because they've covered. When you're looking at just value, the ultimate value, you can Warren Buffett, any kind of investor, there's the quote out there of just buy low, sell high. It's very, very cliche, but you want to buy low on teams that don't cover. You want to sell high on teams that do cover. So that gets me a little more excited to play the Broncos because it's in an ultimate buy low spot. Next one I wanted to hit on with you, Cade, and then we got to get to some college games, the Chiefs and the Giants, because this one is garnering a lot of betting attention. And I like the G-Men. Now, I fully admit I played G-Men week 1, and Jaden Daniels danced on my grave and covered that number. I didn't play them last week as a divisional dog. There's so many, Cade, there's so many games on the board that I wish I played more. Again, you want to limit your plays, but then you're like, man, why didn't I play that game? That's just part of betting. But this one is jumping out to me because it really looks like the Giants are the sharp play here. I mean, you look at Kansas City, they open around a 6-point favorite. Everyone is saying this is a get-right spot for Kansas City. They're 0-2. Now, here's the thing. They would not match that 0-2 system that was on McAfee earlier today because you have to be an 0-2 dog. They're an 0-2 favorite, so this does not count with Kansas City. But public's saying this is a get-right spot. They're still the Chiefs. They still got Mahomes. They're going to win by 14 and get back on track. However, even though you're getting 74% of spread bets laying it with KC, they haven't gone up to -7, -8. They've stayed right at 6. I even see one shop at 5.5. Now you got to shop around because one book, I believe it's BetMGM, is at +6.5 with the Giants, and I took that 6.5 with the Giants. Primetime dogs 5-2 ATS. Matches here tonight with the Dolphins. 0-2 teams that are dog in week 3. The system match that also goes with the Giants. Russell Wilson as a dog. Covered last week, 62% ATS. And then this is what gets me pumped. Both Giants Green Star recommended plays. First model, Giants +4.8. Second model, Giants +4.1. So I get it. The Chiefs have got to get right and blow them out and get back on track. But if you're giving me Giants, you can get the hook 6.5 at BetMGM. Make sure you can always scroll down and shop for the best price here because I believe, BetMGM is 6.5. I guess there's a couple books at 6.5. Fanatics is there as well. But shop around 6.5. Rhythm's got a 4-point game. You can round up 5-point game. That's 1.5 of equity there. I'm going G-Men here, Cade. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think I really need to explain much just because Chiefs, I think they are better than the Giants overall. Yes, but they've looked terrible. And as of right now, you cannot pay me enough money to back Mahomes as bad as the team looks. They just don't look complete. You look at the Giants. Yes, they played a bad defense against Dallas, but Russell, we've seen some vintage Russ last week. I loved that game. I don't think I've seen that many points scored in an NFL game since that one Monday night game between Kansas City and the Rams on that prime time.
Yep.
That was awesome. And when you have a guy, when he's clicking, he's on. Neighbors is on. He looks uncoverable right now. I can't do it. I mean, the dude had 450 yards last week, and we know he can do that. He can keep that up. Chiefs passing defense, they don't look god-awful, but I think they're vulnerable against a guy like Neighbors. He's an X factor, and they can use him in a multitude of ways. I think there's a room for a backdoor here, most definitely. I don't want to say that they kind of make it a dogfight, I should say. but I do think that they keep it closer on a backdoor attempt. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you also got to think like psychologically a little bit. The Chiefs lose to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. They have this big rematch against them last week where really they kind of made it close. Also, Tyquan Thornton, I'm a Patriots fan, Cade. He was so bad with the Patriots, and he caught that late touchdown. I'm like, if you're Tyquan Thornton is your third receiver, I know Rashee Rice is, on the suspension list, and maybe Xavier Worthy comes back. You got some injuries there, but if you're trotting out a starting player, Tyquan Thornton, like they're just not. Maybe they click later in the year, but I think it's a good time to take advantage to bet against them right now. And again, maybe playing the Eagles, another big matchup you had to get up for. You come up short. Is there any doubt creeping in? Yeah. I'm not going to, they're 0-2. It's early, but maybe that's part of it as well. I think they're ripe for the picking right now. To me, this is like Chiefs win by 3, and you'll be happy to get the 6.5. That's my thought process there. Let's go over to college here, Cade. There are a couple games that I wanted to get your take on. So I'm going to, let's see, go to my homepage, go to college, look at some games here. And sometimes the easiest way is to just search them. So the first one I want to get your take on was Texas Tech. Texas Tech Red Raiders, they are playing Utah. Should be a pretty heavily bet game. But this looks to be a good one. Texas Tech is 3-0. They're ranked 17th. Utah's 3-0. They're ranked 16th. What I like about this one, though, is the line move toward Texas Tech, because if you look at the way the betting market has reacted, it's been all movement toward the Red Raiders. I mean, you open Utah around -4.5. This line is now down to 3.5. The other angle here is if you look at the juice, it's all on the Tech side. +3.5, -115, -120, looking like it's going to 3. A lot of books are even at 3 at this point. And if you look at the latest splits on this game, public is still leaning Utah. Now, it's not crazy. It's like 58%. But if you give me a 2 ranked teams, public's on the home favorite, but the line's moving toward the road dog. I took Texas Tech +3.5. I think you can still get the hook at a couple shops. Not perfect. They're not Green Star recommended plays, but I have one model, Tech +0.7, basically a pick'em game, +1.7. So even if you take the 1.7, if you can shop around and get that hook, and again, Fanatics, DraftKings has it, FanDuel has it, a lot of other books are at 3. But I like this spot to take the points with the Red Raiders. Cade, what are your thoughts on this?
I love this game so much, and I think that it got robbed of being a college game day appearance. I'll give our group a quick shout out for our podcast with Hammer Time. Last week was our best week ever betting. We had a 12 unit week last week, and that puts us a little bit over 50 on the year. And we're on. Nice. I love where we're at. That's why I'm so scared about this week, because we did a little bit too. So with that being said, we keep it going. I do have Texas Tech in this one. Except I took a little bit of a slightly different angle. I have over 13.5 in the first half. So this game, it's got that late 2010s Big 12 vibe to it. If you guys remember those Oklahoma, Texas Tech days, they were having shootouts when the final score is like 69-56 or something crazy stupid like that. I miss those. But you have crazy exciting offenses this year, which is normally kind of not normal for Utah's standpoint, just because they're more of a defensive-minded school with how when you have a guy like Kyle Winningham as your coach, you don't really have a quarterback like Devin Dampier or a coordinator like Jason Beck. To me, these offenses are going to need to put up points in order to score in this game, regardless. So, one, I do like the full game over. However, I just think it's disrespectful assuming that Texas Tech doesn't score more than 2 touchdowns in this first half alone, given out how talented they really are. So, when I go back 3 weeks, their last 3 weeks of play, 47 in week 1, 48 in week 2, 28 in week 3. That's just the first half, by the way. Yes, they've played terrible people. I'm very aware, but those are also that's still pretty hard to do. I say in about 30 minutes of play, in my opinion. Defense is playing absolutely absurd. Yes, they're technically letting up a ton of yards, but if you're putting up like 58 points per game, I would kind of assume that there's a lot of kickoffs and that there's a lot of opportunity for the opposing offenses to score points or get yards in general. Yes. Overall, you could take the first half total, which is over 27.5, which I do also really like, regardless of the number. But genuinely, I think this is something that's really possible in the first quarter. I think 14 points is very attainable for how talented this Texas Tech offense is, and I expect fireworks a lot in this game. But as far as the side goes, yes, winning the points with Tech and the Red Raiders.
Nice. Well, Cade, you just happen to land on a gold mine here, because as you're talking about these points being scored, check it out. We have not only a Green Star recommended play on the over, but a smart signal. Again, this is Rithmm's brand new feature where not only are they giving you one of their top plays, but really the best of the best. And the cool thing about the smart signal is it not only aligns like the prediction of Rithmm predicting it's going to fly over this number, but it looks at the sample size and the specific conditions in which the play is being made. So when you're betting on the over in this spot, it's hit 75% of the time. It's a recommendation to go over here. This is a pretty good play here that aligns with exactly what you're saying. And it's not only, again, a Green Star, but a smart signal. So I tell you what, this is why I love doing shows with you, Cade. I stumble on bets that I had no idea about prior to the show. I'm going to have to add this one in. I love that this is a smart signal from Rithmm, over 56.5 points. And it got steamed up as well. So it's pretty clear that the wise guys, the sharps, like this to go over as well. So maybe you get again, you can look at the model with the spread, but game in the 30s,
right.
32 to 31, that's 63, 62, 63, 64, somewhere like that. You're going over that number. So that would be nice if we could get Tech to lose by 3 or less in a high scoring game. That would make everyone happy. But good call on that
Big
over.
12 overs. They've been hitting like at an alarming rate so far this year, just last week even. So yeah, even that angle as well in a conference history standpoint. But yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, you got that conference angle as well. Another one I want to hit on you with, because I'm interested your thoughts. Miami, Ohio, the Redhawks, they are at home against UNLV, and this is an absolutely disgusting one, which makes me excited. But UNLV on the road, let me just find this one here. It looks like a complete opposite type situation. Like UNLV's 3-0. Miami, Ohio is 0-2. They just got rolled by Rutgers. UNLV took down UCLA. They're actually a dog in that one. But this game actually opened. It was pretty much UNLV like -4. The line is down to 2.5. It'd be nice if I got the right Miami here. So let me just fix this one, because it's not the U. It's Miami, Ohio.
We got the better Miami. Yeah.
But exactly. Maybe that's the gambling gods telling me I shouldn't play Miami, Ohio. But yeah, open UNLV -4. You're down to 2.5. Everybody and their mother is on UNLV, but the line's falling to Miami, Ohio. I was saying to myself, I need to get Miami, Ohio at 3. I'll continue to wait because you're still 2.5, but a lot of books are even down to 2. So I don't even know if you're going to get the 3 here. So maybe you got to decide, hey, if you can't get the key number or a number that is the triggering sharp number, maybe you want to lay off. But I'm going to hold out for a 3, and I really am interested maybe in a 2.5, because Rithmm has a model of 1.9, and it just makes no sense. Like, why? This one's a little bit higher, UNLV -2.6. But why is the line falling toward Miami, Ohio, who's 0-2, and going away on a short spread from a team that's 3-0? That just smells to me like a kind of a sharp play here. So any thoughts on this one? What does your model make the number here for Miami, Ohio? Tell me it's less than 2.
I would love to go to this game just because Miami, like the campus, is literally like maybe less than 30 minutes away. So,
ooh, nice. Yeah, you're in Ohio.
Action. So it shows these West Coast people what we're all about, huh? Yeah, I lean Miami with the points. My play in the game is the under at 49.5. It says my model, I believe, has this game.
Ooh.
Let me see. I think it does have them right below 3. Yeah, I'm at 2.6 on mine. But UNLV's practicing early this week for an early kickoff, because for them, they're on, you got to think, they're a West Coast team. They're traveling over here. I believe this is a 12 o'clock kickoff. So, I mean, it's 9 o'clock their time. So I project nearly a possession lower. I'm at like 42 on this one is what I'm at. Both teams also very, very slow paced. You're looking at 30 plus seconds per play here. I think a lot of that does slow the game down. But overall, yeah, I do love the under at 49.5. So that is my play in this game.
Well, you're on point, Cade. Both Green Star recommended plays
Yep.
on the under. Rithmm is predicting 47.9 and 47.8. So, I mean, you're cashing by the skin of your teeth there. But the fact that you laid out an angle for the under and Rithmm is agreeing with you, again, that's some good confidence there toward a lower scoring game. And good point as well. West Coast teams going east for an early start, especially like in the NFL, we talk about it, but they're pros and it's usually at 1:00 noon with college kids. I mean, they might have been, playing beer pong and, going after it, getting after it hard Friday night. And then they got to, get on a plane. It's a whole big thing for a college kid when you're off your kind of your body clock there. So maybe that's an angle here to bet against UNLV, but I like it. I'm leaning under with you on that one too. Wrapping up the show here. This was a game that I threw at you, and I think I piqued your interest a little bit here. Louisiana Tech. La Tech, baby. La Tech is at home against Southern Miss. You were telling me earlier how Southern Miss has been a cash cow for you. So we'll see how this one comes out. And here I go again. I got my wrong Louisiana Tech. Here we go.
Close enough.
There we go. All right. Because it takes too long to scroll and try to find it. But this one might, this isn't like a perfect example, but I really like Louisiana Tech in this one. Kind of got to talk our way through it a little bit because you're getting conflicting signals here. But if you look at where the betting market is at, so the first thing that jumped out to me is this is a 7:30 game, which typically is prime time, heavily bet late night. But I don't think this is on any major channel. And it's kind of a lower bet game that's under the radar. A lot of the other big games are going to, they'll be on at the bar wherever you're at in America. This game probably won't. But there's been a very clear move toward Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech opened this game as low as -1.5. They've now been bet up to -3.5. And when I wrote a sharp report for VSiN.com earlier this week, they were at 3. And I was wondering, hey, key number, does it fly through? Does it come back? Well, it's been nothing but movement in favor of Louisiana Tech here. So at the time, I moneylined La Tech at -155. They got really good bet splits. They have a clear line move in their favor. When you look at what Rithmm is recommending, though, this is where you got to kind of walk through it. Southern Miss plus 3.9. So think of it this way. It's not a huge edge if you're taking the 3.5 with Southern Miss. It is an edge to me if you're going to money line, though, La Tech, because Rithmm is predicting about a 4-point win. My other angle here is La Tech, again, 4.1. If you look at the money line recommendations, they're kind of saying take a shot on Southern Miss, maybe win outright because it's pretty good value, getting like plus 190. But if you look at the money line prices across the market, I guess I want to flip that a little bit. But I want to say the best number you can get right now is maybe -160, -165, which we've had this debate before, Kate, about how far are you willing to go on a money line. I don't want to go much more than that. But anytime I see a kind of lower tier game that has a clear steam move on one side, and you can maybe money line a short favorite and just say, so what if they only win by 3? I'm trying to get my money line play there. That's my angle. And I'm a little bit more confident in it on the money line because, again, Rithmm is saying it should be about a 4-point game, which is not a huge edge on laying the 3.5, but it is an edge on the money line here. So any thoughts on this one? I know it's kind of off the radar, but take the points, lay the points, money line, short favorite. What do you think about this one?
I'm going with my blood oath here. I can't go against my Southern Miss right now. To me, as it stands, shockingly enough, their only losses to Mississippi State, who right now looks like a quality loss, given that they're now getting votes to be in this poll. Coming off a dominant win over App State, they forced 3 turnovers. Their secondary looks to be one of the best in the conference right now. If you look at Louisiana Tech, this is a rivalry game as well. For the box score watchers of Louisiana Tech, they win by a lot. They look good, but passing numbers, their passing rankings, they're terrible. Borderline, bottom 10% in the country right now. So the 110th in yards through the air, completed less than half of their attempts. The list goes on. So Blake Baker, who is a La Tech QB, good on his feet, very mobile QB, but Jason Seymour, this defensive coordinator, he's come from Marshall. He's dealt with a lot of these mobile QBs before, dealt with a lot of playing against JMU. There's a couple, they play Liberty a couple of times in the year. he's very familiar with these mobile QBs that can move on their feet. I expect him to kind of work around the schemes to shut him down alone and give his offense room and put them in really good positions to score. I have Southern Miss at 2.8. So technically, it does have La Tech still winning. So we can both win here. Let's just say that. I just took the 3.5. I have it at -107. So good price on my part. I will. Yeah, that is a play for me.
Nice. And before we get out of here, any other games you're dying to talk about? You feel good about the card? That's it for me, and I may add some more later in the week. But anything else that you got to get off your chest or something that you want to talk about?
I have like maybe 10 to 13 plays on the board for this weekend. But yeah, we'd be here probably until the end of this Bills-Dolphins game that people have to get to. So we'll hold off for now. But I do post them. So we'll talk about those, obviously, in our Discord and our podcast, Hammer Time Podcast on Spotify and Apple. Free to join, free to listen, whatever you guys listen to. But yeah, I'm excited. We got more football tonight. We got football this weekend. Do it again.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Again, you love it. Great job, Cade, as always. So wrapping up the stream here, just want to remind everyone, if you are interested in joining Rithmm, we'd love to have you. You can look at all these different models. They make a really good kind of cherry on top of a play or leaning you one way or the other. Or, again, there are different ways to kind of take advantage of Rithmm. My buddy James Santor, who used to be with Rithmm, he would always say, I'm playing every single five-star green lock here. So, again, there are different ways to do it. I pick and choose. I want the market to align with me. Cade, you made so many great cases of maybe why you're going with or against the play. But, again, we would love for you guys to join. You can use the promo code START25 for 25% off. And as I mentioned earlier, we'd love for you guys to join the leaderboard contest. You can go right into the Rithmm app. It's right on the main page. You can get more details, throw your models in there. And just remember, too, you can also do the refer a friend, and you can both profit off of that, which is really important. So, my man, as always, great job. Best of luck here tonight, and we'll do it again next Thursday night. So good luck, man. And any final thoughts from my my wise guy co-host?
I'm either going to be rooting against Ray Davis tonight, or I might be retiring tonight. I don't know. Who knows? You guys can make fun of me in the Rithmm server if you guys want to. I'll wear that proud after this game ends. But yeah, hopefully, yeah, we'll be okay.
Well, Cade, I want to just hate to break it to you, but you can't retire. We are betters. We're going to do this until we're 90 years old and AI is taking over, and our bodies are in like a chip, like in a robot. So there's no end. The beauty of betting is we got it in our blood, and we're trying to get better, and Rithmm helps us do that. So good luck, everyone. Enjoy Thursday Night Football. We'll be back at it next Thursday for, I believe that'll be our 5th Rithmm Rundown, Cade. So good luck.